name's Bruno. I've maybe seen some of you in the past with robotics event. How many of you attended that? That was pretty awesome. That was fun. We did a data science for social good a couple weeks ago with Kaggle, trying to take government data and do useful things. Anyone attend that out of this group? Couple, awesome. How many saw my talk at Silicon Valley Code Camp on big data? Thank you. Thanks for coming back. I didn't scare you away. So I'm all about doing really interesting events if I can include some of the technologies that I'm personally working with, like cloud computing, Windows 8. Those are my kind of areas. I've got a couple apps in the store. I've been doing a lot of writing in MSDN magazine around the cloud. What else can I tell you? My team, I was among a team that took third place at the hackathon, the TechCrunch Disrupt. That was an exciting event. Stay up 24 hours and code. But let's just jump into this talk. I want to basically get out of the way and let the experts on 3D printing do all the talking. So I'm just going to race through a couple quick slides. I want to thank Highway 1 for the pizza. They're like an incubator that takes people, helps them out. I got a slide coming up on them in a second. I want to thank Eugene, my friend here, for helping doing the filming, organizing some of these events. Thanks, Eugene. Andra Kay also supplied some contacts that made this possible, like the food sponsor, and she's helped me with the robotics event. She's awesome. Michael, of course, the founder of this meetup. I thank him for letting me kind of run with the ball a little bit and host some of you folks here. And a little bit about Highway 1. They basically help companies get funded. And they have like a kind of a program where you can take your idea if you think it's worthy, and they work with you, give you guidance over a period of time. So I just spoke with the founder of this facility, Highway 1. His name's Brady Forrest. He said, hey, tell them if they have a good idea, give me a call. They're right here in San Francisco. So if you have a cool idea, that would be your next step. And I thank him for providing the pizza. Sorry I didn't have more, by the way. It's been a challenge. So I think we all know we live in a technological Garden of Eden. This is one of my favorite ways to look at Silicon Valley. When it first started, it was about CPUs, it was about memory, it was about silicon. As things evolved, the internet came into the world and kind of major disruption, some would say, changed the need for scale, the connectivity of devices, and everyone carrying around a phone said, I'd like to check my website. And so mobile computing was born, the smartphone. Amazing in the last 4 or 5 years how that has rebooted major software companies, and everyone is scrambling to find out, how did they fit in this devices world. Once we had that, the cloud had to come into being to address the issue of scale. I was talking with my friend Sasha here about another meetup, maybe just around the notion of scale. And I'll kind of gauge your interest in some of these to see what you would like to hear about. I've got a couple other ideas for the next event. So the cloud came, and then Twitter and Facebook redefined social networks, another huge phenomenon. But what did all that create? A lot of data, and so big data. Something dear to my heart. The talk I did at CodeCamp is how do you set up a Linux single node cluster in the cloud, the Azure cloud, and run MapReduce jobs in Java, Hive, Pig, and some of the other tooling. So that's an area that I'll revisit with you folks from time to time. It's one of my favorite topics. After all, computers were invented for data and to analyze it, to find patterns, make predictions. I think that's really exciting stuff. So as you move up the food chain, that's where we are today. We just did the robotics, and now we're doing 3D printing. So I think this is the upper right quadrant that I like to talk about, a great place for you to be professionally and technically. So this is why I take a big interest. This is something people are interested in. That's why we have such a great audience tonight. So a couple quick slides. Restroom is past the elevators on the left. We have some beverages floating around. Please pick up your rubbish if you don't mind, so my friends can go home on time tonight. We'd all appreciate that part. So you all agree we're at an inflection point? There's a couple things in an inflection point. One of the things I also thought, and this is a little side topic, how many of you would be interested in an Arduino event? Do you know what Arduino is? Yeah, it's a basically open source hardware platform. I bought mine today, my second one. It's a little like microcontroller board with an operating system you program in a C-like language, and it allows you to prototype ideas. Maybe you want to invent this kind of like a moisture sensor that contacts the weather service to know if they should water the lawn tomorrow. So people are prototyping their ideas on these $100 devices that you can program and connect to the cloud. There's some innovation here. People are using the TV white space and cellular broadband to communicate between the devices. It's this notion of the Internet of Things, the machine-to-machine interaction. Another huge, interesting topic, so that would be something I should look into for another next session. Okay, awesome. So back to 3D printing. After all, this is yet another machine that presumably will have its own. Who knows where this is going to go? I have those questions. I was going to ask briefly, do you want a little panel at the end, like at 9 o'clock to 9:30? Does that work? So you can ask your questions. The way it works, we have 4 to 5 speakers. We have 2 hours. And so I try to just give everyone a spin at the wheel. And then at the end, we save a little time for Q&A. And some of the speakers really do want Q&A during their talk, so feel free to talk to them. So we're seeing a lot of new ways of doing things, but some of the old ways still work. There's still the need to do milling and other traditional manufacturing techniques. So it's not all like you can do everything in 3D printing. Although they're challenging what they thought was possible. I'll talk a little bit about that. Like I said, it's not going to replace traditional printing, but it will complement traditional printing. This was something that caught my eye. I've always heard of printing airplane wings at Boeing, people wanting to build houses with 3D printers. But the cost of doing this, and the experts can comment on this, it gets exponentially more expensive because of the 3 dimensions you're printing in. So there's a practical limit, I suppose. How quickly we'll overcome that, I don't know, but it's kind of interesting to think about making really big printers. So the bottom line of all of this is software, and that's the thing that's really dear to my heart. I love software. How many of you are actually doing hardware, however, today in this audience? A few hardware folks, okay. So this is a hardware event, but at the end of the day, it's about the software, right? The new Kinect device allows you to, it's unreleased yet, you can go around a human being and capture their essence in 3D and then print it. It could even capture, like I keep saying, your heart rate by looking at fluctuations in skin tone. So all this kind of convergence is really interesting of all these devices. Anyone recognize this car type? It's Aston Martin car. So apparently they use 3D printing in the James Bond films to print his car crashing. It's much cheaper. And so there's a guy that's actually doing this. He's doing his own Aston Martin with 3D. I'd kind of like to see what some of the things happening tonight turn out to be. There's a lot of good that can be done with this, of course, in the medical profession, not just about manufacturing. Where they're talking about DNA, printing DNA, which is, I'm not a biochemist, I don't know how that would work, but there's an amazing amount of innovation. They're printing steel, and I guess that'll be some of the things I'm kind of curious about tonight. What are they? I heard human organs are being printed too, and they're actually working, functioning. So if the Wizard of Oz was happening, he could go get a brain printed, perhaps. So this is the event. When I first did this slide, 145 people signed up, and it's been growing steadily. Thank you for being here, for signing up. And I think that kind of wraps it up for me. Time-wise, I think it's going to end around 9:30ish. Of course, you're not required to stay, but I think 5 people all speaking with their best material for half an hour each. Any questions before we kick off? I just want to get out of the way here and let our first speaker come up and give his talk. Any questions or comments? We good? All right, well, thank you.